This one is a rehearsal, take one, for Happy Birthday to Ernie the Barbarian, Ernest Gary Gygax. And um, to you, Ernest, I wish many years ahead filled with happiness, health, and wealth. There you go. And another thing, too, is that for those who don't know, there's in the Dungeon Master's Guide a page 8. Um, I've heard rumors of books out there that are missing pages, but yeah, it's page 8. There is something called credits and acknowledgments, and there are about maybe 20 people listed there. One of the people listed there is Mr. Ernest Gary Gygax, and the way I see these people listed there, and I hope that I'm speaking both to Ernie and to everyone here, I see them as kind of like elders, okay? A good mnemonic, a good way to remember it. Seek out a band called Elder if you like, say, Yes and Led Zeppelin. Um, they're exceptional, yeah, very much so. But anyway, back to the concept of elders and maybe even ancestors. For those on that list that are still in this world, I would hope that you guys treat them with a little bit of extra respect because, well, it just feels like the right thing to do, at least for me. And, calling those who've gone on to the next world ancestors, it's not a precise word or anything like that, but I hope that people would revere and learn from, those who are no longer here in this world that are listed on page 8 of the DMG. Okay? Um, and Ernie, big thank you for me. I'm actually living in the city state of Toronto, which I think is pretty awesome. And I would love to go to visit maybe London and live there for 1 year. Um, and also go to New York and live there for 1 year. I seem to thrive generally overall in a multicultural society. And it's a very interesting thing, this book that your dad wrote called Epic of Earth, okay? I sometimes call it DJ3, Epic of Earth. And what it is simply the best fantasy Earth setting that I have seen so far, okay? And in, the three big cities, which I guess form a kind of trinity, that is a great, they're great cities to be in if you're making or one is making a fantasy Earth campaign. Now, admittedly, Fantasy Earth is like about 10% of the first edition AD&D fan base. The other 90% is the World of Greyhawk, I think. Yeah. Okay, maybe the numbers are not exact, but still, that's a simple fact that the World of Greyhawk is the most popular setting in the first edition AD&D group. And regarding the first edition AD&D group, we had a subtitle, "The One Game to Rule It All." Okay, or the one game to rule them all, and it's my fault for that. One of the admins sent me a message and said, "Oh, hey, how about this? We'll try out a subtitle." And knowing me, I'm always into trying out new things, so I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let's give it a go and see how it turns out." Um, and I don't know if it was days or weeks or months, but I came to really dislike that subtitle for this group, and that's putting it in very, very diplomatic terms. So, I mean, I felt, like I was walking in the shadow of Mordor, and that's not a good thing. So, what was created in Hellfire, close enough, apparently can be destroyed in Hellfire. Yeah. No, I didn't do that. Sorry. Yeah, get angry at someone else. Someone just destroyed an artifact on the internet. Yeah, well, an artifact and a relic. So with the echo of the One Ring successfully destroyed, I was like, oh, I need to find another subtitle for the group. And it just came to me, the Gygaxian Resistance, okay? And this one goes out to Ernie and Luke. If you ever want us to take down the subtitle, just let me know, and then I can get that done within 40, 12 hours. In other words, as soon as I would see a message like that, please, take down the Gygaxian Resistance subtitle, I would attend to it right away. I mean, it's not a hard thing to do. But that was just what came to mind first. And interestingly enough, the first thing that came to my mind was, oh yeah, definitely, preserving the mathematics, the tables and charts of first edition AD&D for future generations. That's strange. Um, and of course, as the days and weeks went by, I looked at that subtitle in different ways, and just relating everything down to numbers and mathematics and tables and charts. It's like an empty vessel, sure, it's a structure, but it doesn't have that soul or spirit. Um, you know, it's hard for me to describe sometimes, but then in other times it's not that hard. The spirit of first edition AD&D, I hope, would include fun, friends, and imagination. And one of my biggest worries about the subtitle is that Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Yep. The song "Us and Them," that it will create an us and them situation. And them being anyone who doesn't play first edition AD&D. Um, and it's sad to see the schism and the fighting that goes on these days. In my experience, I was born in 1972, and then in 1982, I was in Vancouver, BC, and I picked up BX, the basic box set, and of course, it changed my life. We were enchanted by the artwork, literally enchanted, I think. And of course, being 10, 11, 12 years old at the time, um, we were playing the game, according to some people, wrong. Okay, yeah, we would forget this rule, we would use that rule in a wrong way and stuff like that. And generally, we did not have any idea about what we were doing, but we were having the time of our lives, doing the whole entire D&D thing, from making up characters to making up a dungeon to getting together with your friends and eating way too much chips and drinking way too much pop, and these marathon sessions that we would love to do. I think a lot of people are excessively harsh against the 80s generation of D&D fans. I look at the core of the first edition AD&D membership, and I don't mean to be insulting here, but I think it's we're a bunch of 10, 11, 12-year olds around there. Still, we haven't grown up, in general terms, if you know what I mean. Like, there's better wording to explain that concept, but yeah, we're a bunch of 10, 11, 12-year olds around there, in our heart, and hopefully that keeps us young a little bit. um it was a magical time, at least in Vancouver, when you got the mountains and the mist, like the Misty Mountains and everything like that. um Anyway, I'm going very much in the direction of nostalgia. Now, I said I would make this a 10-minute video, so in 1 minute, it's like I have 1 minute, to speak before I go in front of the firing squad. Yeah. So what am I going to say? Well, it's pretty simple. Fun, friends, and imagination. That is those three words that form a trinity that I believe is one approach to first edition AD&D. Now, page 9 of the DMG has realism and simulationism as an approach to the game, I guess. And then there's also game school, right? And of course, Gary is pretty clear. Your dad was pretty clear that first edition AD&D is not meant to be realism or simulationism, but game school. And at this point, I'm looking at the clock, and it's like 15 seconds. Um, After all these years, I still love the game. Time waits for no one. Happy birthday, Ernie, and it is the 10-minute mark. My turn is done. Mhm.